Good morning everyone, and welcome back to another Train Simulator Classic video. Today we are back on Union Workshop's Tohoku High Speed and Mainline route. We are at Kitakami and we are heading up to Morioka. So basically this route comes in two separate bits. There's the 125 mile section of high speed track, which is its standard gauge from Sendai to Morioka via Kitakami. Then there's a section of normal 3-foot 6-inch gauge track that you can drive on using the 701 series, which is the one that we're in today, from Kitakami to Morioka. So yeah, we are in the 701 JR East 701 series electric multiple unit today. We've got the correct destination blind set, rapid service to Morioka. And it appears there's another service also going to Morioka. So yeah, let's hop back into the no, that's the button. Oh, for goodness sake. Right, let's unpause the game. HUD on. Reverser forward. Should have headlights. There we go, headlights on. Open the doors. Let's get the brakes off to notch 1. So yeah, there's basically two separate places that could be accessed at Kitakami. There's the low speed platforms, which is the one that we're at, and then there's the high speed platforms, which is the one the bullet train uses and absolutely like catapults through here at 320 kilometers an hour. Alright, next stop, Hanamaki in 12.5 kilometers. What time is it? 7 in the morning. Okay. This is, if you're wondering what scenario we're playing, this is the Dawn of Spring scenario. Which is included with the route by default, but I think this is also compatible with quick drives as well, if you're into that kind of thing, which I'm not. Good. Alright, 30 FPS, that's more than fine enough for Train Sim Classic. We have a top operating speed of 100 today, I think. Beans up to 100 kph. Wonder where that line goes. So yeah, our stops are Kitakami, Hanamaki, Yahaba, and Morioka. As per usual, we have full ATS train stuff enabled. We also have a cab. We also have a train thing view. You know what I mean? Like cabin view. There's no modeled passengers for some reason. That's probably for performance reasons more than anything else, because this route is quite heavy on the old performance, even if you're on a good machine. For some reason, Train Sim Classic just hates loading a lot of assets, and it will start complaining if you're not doing what you're supposed to. Yeah, though if you sound the horn back to back in rapid succession, it does cut out. But since you're not really supposed to do that, to me, it does not matter. I love having a built-in replay cam. It's something that Train Sim World hasn't gotten even after all these years, despite the fact that Train Sim Classic is literally built on the same engine as the incredibly ancient Microsoft train simulator from the from what, 2001, 2002. So basically, a lot of the code this game is running on are a quarter of a century old, which is absurd. Which is basically a dinosaur, basically making this game a dinosaur by video game standards. Do have a whistle board in a minute. Absolutely streaky through whatever station this is. Yeah. This is a pretty easy EMU to drive, which does make sense. A lot of this is a modern Japanese EMU, so it's a dual-handled thing, throttle and brakes, 8 notches of brake with an emergency brake setting after that, and then a 5-notch throttle, which makes sense considering, yeah, that's basically the standard used for most 3-foot 6-inch gauge trains in country. So yeah, I'm gonna start heading downhill, so I'll cut the power back a bit. Oh, wrong button. That's the button. Come on, buddy. It is a really nice morning. Like, even without the Armstrong Powerhouse Sky and Weather Enhancement packaging, this game still looks pretty good. By the way, viewers, should I get the Armstrong Powerhouse Sky and Weather Enhancement pack? I've been hearing mixed stuff about Armstrong Powerhouse's stuff, especially the recent stuff, like a lot of like making remakes of enhancement packs that aren't really needed, making enhancement packs that don't really need to exist, like the Cloud enhancement pack, charging a lot of money. But if I was going to get the Armstrong Powerhouse pack, I'd need to figure out how to enable it on routes that aren't officially supported by the pack, which it says you can do. I don't know how, but it says you can, and I don't really know how. So if you viewers have any tips, please do let me know, because I have had my eye on that pack for a bit. Because I literally don't play any of the routes that are officially supported by the Sky and Weather Enhancement pack, so I would need to be I need to figure out how to do that. Hanamaki in 2 kilometers. I think it does slow down relatively quickly, so I think we'll be alright. Also, this cabin will be very familiar to people who are acquainted with Japanese electric multiple units. You've got a speed reverser, throttle, brake, speedo, pilot lamp to let you know when to start driving the train once the doors close, brake cylinder pressure. Very, very familiar. I think it's a good shot right there. Yeah, is that too dark from this side? Yeah. I take screenshots using the in-game supported one, because otherwise it just doesn't work that well. Oh, we've actually got 2 701s coupled back to back. I think I'll actually get closer and wait until there gets to be a bit more light before taking the thumbnail. Better start slowing down, because otherwise the ATS will be like, no you don't. You're not supposed to be going this quick into this station, sort of thing. The ATS system is very handy. You don't have to... You do... Normally you press your foot down on the pedal. But it's basically like a vigilance pedal system. It doesn't have a dead man, so you don't have to acknowledge it every so often like a British DSD. And also, you don't have to you don't have to acknowledge anything, is the point I'm trying to get at. And it also regulates your speed very nicely, so yeah, you do have to be careful. That's max service on the brakes. Open doors. Alright, we're here until... We're actually running slightly late. Ah, the FOV and the drone camera. Come on, mouse wheel, stop misbehaving. There we go. Looks like we've got another service over there, which is to Kitakami. Okay, that's the Kitakami kanji. Yeah, a bit bare bones buildings, but hey, I don't really want something with an interior if it's just gonna lag my game. As long as it's decent, as long as it's decently detailed. Yeah, there's the Hanamaki sign. It's a bit low poly, but it does the job. Yeah. Still very dark. Oh. There goes the Kitakami service. Got not trying to brake just to hold us since we don't have... Alright, doors closing. Alright, pilot lamp is on. Next stop, Yahaba in 25 kilometers. So that should take us 15 minutes to cover at 100 kilometers an hour. And that's if we keep up an average of 100. Yeah, this is a rapid service for a reason. The speed acceleration is actually pretty gentle, even at full throttle, so... Leaving Yahaba. Ooh, nice cherry trees. I actually hadn't noticed them until they just popped up. That's nice. One of the things we haven't gotten any confirmation yet is whether we'll be getting a rendition of ATS with Union Workshop's Tadami line for Train Sim World, which is going to be the first Japanese route for the game. And knowing Union Workshop, they are probably going to give us a rendition of ATS, but yeah. Level crossing ahead. Scenery's really decent on this route. Fair play to Union Workshop. The scenery is pretty much spot on for this area of Japan. Pretty much rural, nothing there but some rice fields, the occasional little collection of buildings. Man. If I do feel slightly annoyed that in Train Sim World, the Train Sim World rendition of the Tadami line, though this was present in the Train Sim Classic version, the Kiha 40 rail car is going to be the only rolling stock provided with for the route. Like, yeah, that's good, but unfortunately that means the electrified station at Aizu Wakamatsu is going to be very unrealistic with just Kiha 40s running around and not electric multiple units from other areas of the country, coming in from other areas of the country. Though I must admit that's not an issue that's limited to the Tadami line for trains of classic or TSW specifically, and that issue is also present on the Hidaka main line as well. For the Hidaka main line for trains of classic, I mean. That's a very weird route. The Hidaka main line is actually quite a weird route if you think about it, because it's supposed to be set in the early 2000s, yet I think early 2010s actually, but it doesn't have what's it called? It comes with the Kiha 130 railcar, despite the fact that was retired in the late 1990s. What the route actually had in that time period was a different variant of the Kiha 40 diesel railcar. So if you want to be slightly unrealistic, you can run the Kiha 40 on that route, but the version that you get, that's the one that comes with the Tadami line, but that's unrealistic because that's a different version of the 40. Yahaba in 17.8 kilometers. I actually want to have a look at the map. I have my controller plugged in. I never usually do that. Sorry about that. So, how far is Yahaba from Morioka? Not too far. So yeah. I normally don't have my controller plugged in for TS Classic videos because then it just causes issues, but hopefully those won't crop up today. Sorry for that abrupt change, but I just wanted to get a quick screenshot, hopefully. 24%, that's, yeah, lighting has gotten better, which is nice. Come on. It's mostly rural running on this section of the Tohoku main line that we get, and we only see local services because when the bullet train line was completed in I think the section that's depicted in Trains of Classic was completed in the, I want to say early 2010s, 2010 or thereabouts. I could be wrong though. That all express services on the Tohoku main line were terminated in favor of bullet train services, but that just seems to be the norm. When the bullet train line is completed, the express services on the 3-foot 6-inch gauge lines are terminated in favor of the bullet train, even if those trains are, don't really compete with the bullet train and are actually sleeper trains, which is quite annoying because we've seen quite a good amount of sleeper train services being cancelled or in favor of the bullet train, which just isn't the same. Like, for one thing, they don't run at night, and a lot of people look specifically for the sleeper train experience. which you just don't get on a bullet train. If you're there in 5 hours, you can't really just sleep on the train completely overnight, yeah. I've said it before and I'll say it again, cancelling sleeper services in favor of the bullet train, in favor of the Shinkansen bullet train, whatever you want to call it, is quite frankly just madness, especially since there are tourists who want to ride these trains for a reason. And a lot of the sleeper services that are left are aimed specific. To be fair, though, a lot of the ones that are left are aimed specifically at tourists, like the Twilight Express is one of the most notable ones. That's specifically aimed at, yeah. But a lot of the sleeper services are actually aimed at more the luxury passenger rather than commercial economy level sleeper trains, like say the OBB Nightjet service from Austria, or the Caledonian Sleeper from the UK, which is like I can't remember the name of the train, but I've heard somewhere that there is a train that can't remember exactly where. I think it goes from Tokyo up toward Niigata, and then like around that area. I can't exactly remember where. Like a first class ticket on that for a full round trip to Tokyo, Niigata, and then back would set you back about 800,000 yen, which in US monies is about, I don't know, $5,000, which is just an absurd amount of money. Absolutely absurd. Yeah. Sorry if I ran on a bit of a rant just then, but yeah. And then there are also bullet train lines being built which just aren't necessary by any stretch of the imagination. For example, the Takeo Onsen to Nagasaki section of the Nishi-Kyushu Shinkansen down on the South Island that didn't need to get built at all. For one thing, it's not a long stretch of track by any means. It's about 100 kilometers of track, and it was already done by a very reliable and well-liked express service on 3/6" gauge. Then, secondly, Takeo Onsen doesn't even link up the rest of that train line to any other section of the high-speed network. So, basically, what you have to do is, if you want to go from Nagasaki to Fukuoka, what you have to do is leap on the bullet train, travel to Takeo Onsen, transfer to a normal express train, and then run to Fukuoka, which is ridiculous. Then and then there's also political issues on top of that. The government of Saga Prefecture, there's a bullet train line off to our right, by the way. The government of Saga Prefecture understandably doesn't want to shell out for a highly expensive bullet train that won't really provide any economic benefit to their area, and they've basically bricked the project until it can be shown that they'll get more economic benefit out of this line. So basically, this little section of bullet train line is just stranded away from the rest of the high-speed network, which is a bit absurd if you think about it. And even more ridiculously, it's not the only bullet train line extension which is having this issue. The Hokuriku bullet train line, which is my local bullet train line, I made a video on it just a couple days back. If you want to go have a look at that, it's a video marked Train Park Hakusan. the extension firstly, that line was extended from where was it? I'm trying to remember. Kanazawa to Tsuruga. But Tsuruga is in the direction of Osaka, so it basically links Kanazawa up with the it's basically eventually going to link Kanazawa up with both Tokyo and Osaka, which is quite good. Well, also, but the trouble is with that, they're only able to the first section of extension got the bullet train line as far as Tsuruga, which is a bonkers place to extend the line to by any stretch of the imagination, given that Tsuruga is a absolutely minuscule place with only about 50,000 people. So to have the line terminate there, of all places, is absolute madness, considering it just doesn't need a bullet train to begin with. Then the extension to Osaka, which hasn't been green-lighted yet at the time of this video's production, basically has not been approved yet, which is already worrying in itself that they've already given permission for such a line to go ahead if they were planning on doing something like that. And what's even more worrying is it would take at least 10 years to build a 150 odd kilometer section of track, which is already a big red flag in itself, but not surprising given how big these infrastructure projects can be, but also because it's just quite simply ridiculous to sorry, I don't know where I was trying to go with that last argument, I'm afraid, viewers, but this line extension, if green-lighted, would run through Kyoto from north to south, turn west south of Kyoto, and then run into Osaka. Now that's also another big red flag, because there's not exactly a lot of room to put such a large line in both Kyoto and Osaka. So it would cause a lot of destruction to put a line right through the heart of those two major cities. And then also, on top of that already glaring issue, the residents of Kyoto are understandably putting up a fuss, saying they don't want to fund it and things like that, basically putting out the same arguments as the Saga people did. Alright, finally coming into Yahaba. Sorry if I went into a bit of a rant there, but I just feel really annoyed about building pointless bullet train lines. Like, mind you, I'm not against building railway lines, but if they're pointless, then and cost a lot of taxpayer money and time, and also yeah, you know what I mean. Like, also cause a lot of destruction on top of that. Then that's not really a good idea, is it? And then also there's also another problem that I have with it, because yeah. Anyway, yeah, you get the gist of my arguments, I think. Oh, I just put it in emergency by mistake. That's my bad. Just open the doors. Wait a minute. Why aren't my doors opening? That noise... Wait, what? All the doors are in the platform, yet only the one to the rearmost train opened. That's interesting. Anyway, listen to the noise. You hear that? That noise. That's basically a noise for, I think it's for visually impaired people to try and find their way around, just letting them know. And then also these, yeah. That's the bullet train line. Unfortunately, in the default scenarios, you don't get any AI running up and down here if you're doing a local service, but I think the portals are provided for by the developers if you want to make your own custom scenarios. Oh, I actually stopped short at the stop marker. I stopped for this 2-car stop marker when I was supposed to stop for this 6 and 4-car stop marker. Yay. I love Japanese railway crossings. They're my personal favorite, and I'm not biased by having 11 years and counting lived in Japan. Shut the brakes off. All right. Next stop and final stop, of course, Morioka in 10 kilometers. Beans. Oh, never mind. There goes a bullet train. That's the E5 series, absolutely thundering past. Okay, I take my previous argument back. That's pretty cool. Absolutely thundering past at 320 kilometers an hour. Look how fast he's going. That's ridiculously quick. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Cut the power, cut power, cut power. There we go. Yeah, this service is called a rapid service, but is not rapid at all compared to the fact that that Hayabusa high-speed train absolutely rocketed past at, what is it, 320 kilometers an hour that you're allowed to go on that section of line? That is ridiculously quick, man. I approve, yeah. Going back to what I was saying before, I believe that you should only build high-speed rail lines where they're warranted, and building just unnecessary high-speed lines where a perfectly normal express service was already in place is just A, financial madness, B, unnecessarily disruptive. I can cite many cases of this, like the Tsuruga bullet train line and Osaka bullet train line extension, the what is it, the oh my goodness, that's 4% downhill, holy moly. And then I'm trying to remember the Nagasaki bullet train line extension in Kyushu, the HS2 line in the UK. Like, I agree. Like, in the HS2 line, I do have a caveat with that argument. Like, the original proposed section of HS2 going from London all the way up to Leeds, East Midlands Parkway, Manchester, that was fine. I perfectly agree, and that was a good idea, but cutting it all the way back to Birmingham, when there is already a decent section of line all the way from Euston, a decently high-speed section all the way from Euston to Birmingham New Street that Avanti West Coast use, is just crazy. And then also HS2 having to terminate at Old Oak Common of all places, and then you have to change trains to even get as far as Paddington instead of going all the way to Euston because it hasn't been approved yet for some reason. It's quite simply insane. Absolutely insane. But high-speed lines, if anything, seem to be all the rage these days. Japan is building more of them. Britain's building HS2, as I alluded to before. Spain and China are just Spain, China, and France are building yet more. Even Morocco has got a high-speed line with exported TGV duplexes as the main motive power. What else? There's even the United States is getting in on the action with a high-speed line already, with a 125-mile-an-hour high-speed line called Brightline already in place between Orlando and Miami in the state of Florida, and then another one that just got approval between Las Vegas and Los Angeles. Like, yeah, right now, if you're into high-speed trains, this is a great time to be. It's a great time to be a high-speed rail fan. Alright. Morioka in 2.5 kilometers, and we're already into the outskirts. This route in Train Sim Classic is actually going to be getting an extension at some point, because the track, if you look at the map, hang on, I'll zoom out a minute, you can see that the track's been laid for the mini Shinkansen between Morioka and, what is this station down here? I cannot remember for the life of me what this station is called, but basically, the mini Shinkansens, the reason they're called that is because they have dual gauge track, 3-foot 6-inch gauge for the local services and standard gauge for the bullet trains. That would also give the Union Workshop the opportunity to add the E6 high-speed train and have that come to the E5, which we've already got. So yeah, but they're probably not going to do that extension until after until at least after until the Tatami line for TSW is done, because they're a small team and that's taking up all their resources at the moment. That's the 45 limit. Alright, we're now limited to 45 coming into Morioka. Yeah. Morioka and Kitakami are very quiet due to only the 701 series being present in-game. Why did the ATS system just go off on me? I'm afraid that dinga 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 sound will be going until we get into Morioka and have come to a standstill, unfortunately. That's so annoying. The ATS system does drive me incredibly crazy occasionally. I see the stop markers further ahead. I cancelled the ATS alarm, so should not be doing this much craziness, but hey. Alright. Alright, welcome to Morioka, ladies and gentlemen. After a uneventful run from Kitakami, apart from that ATS system going ballistic on me. Wonder if that bullet train pulled in yet. Hang on. Did he pull in? Or did he despawn? Okay, appears he already left, if he was here. So yeah, should be... Oh, where's the... Why is the camera doing this? Right, you just finished this rapid service on the Tohoku main line. And yeah, there we go. That will be it for this video, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another one of these videos. And also, I'll be heading to the United States in a couple of days, so this will be my last video for the next few days. When I return, I will be in the United States. So yeah, see you then, everybody, and goodbye.